Good morning, my friends, my boys. Welcome back to Kanode Knows. Sorry we're a day late and a dollar short, but Sunday night I had a great conversation with none other than early 2000s BMX, aka James. Believe it or not, it's a person behind the cool BMX media Instagram that if you're not following already, you should at early 2000s BMX. Always posting throwbacks and interviewing collectors and like real BMX nerd stuff. Like I'm kind of a BMX nerd poser. I just kind of like the era that I grew up in, but I mean, so does he, but he does a lot more with it. And he just finished hosting a jam. We talk about that. I didn't necessarily go too much into early 2000s stuff with him, honestly, even though he has an encyclopedic knowledge. I pretty much was too tired to figure out some sort of quiz to do, but you'll see, it's fun. We had a good conversation about social media and all the little intricacies there because we have that in common, both working in the social media world. And yeah, it was a nice, quick episode. So I hope you guys enjoy it. I would say before we get into it, just make sure you go follow him on Instagram. If you're a TikTok person, he's growing on there and on YouTube. And let him know to keep on going, keep doing cool shit. I think that's a big takeaway is just you can do stuff and make stuff happen on your own. So do it, you know? Yeah. Here's James, early 2000s BMX. Kanode Knows. Oh, so what do you think is the best time period in BMX? I was thinking it might be early 2000s. Welcome to the show, early 2000s BMX, dude.
Living in the moment. It's right now.
So for people who don't know, your name is James Lawrence.
Yeah.
I think I just learned that that's your last name because of this software. You're a mystery and an enigma running one of the best Instagrams in the BMX world. So
no, I appreciate it, man, obviously.
What you doing? Where are you? What's going on?
I'm at the ranch camp. So I'm sitting in an indoor area right now. It's like a Woodward style camp. So behind me there's like a bowl and a mini ramp, but it's quiet up here. So
it's so good. It looks amazing.
Yeah, it's sick, dude. The whole place is dope. Indoor, outdoor. There's trails, all kinds of stuff. So it's a good time.
How long have you been there right now?
My flight got delayed and I was stuck in Vegas, but I've been here 2 days because I had a layover in Vegas. So I'm leaving in the morning. So I've been here just 2 days. Flew in from California.
Is California where you live?
Yeah, I live in Northern California.
All right. So tell me about this jam that just happened. How did that come about, and then how did it go?
So we did a jam in Virginia, and I flew out in advance, obviously. And it's early 2000s BMX ranch jam. So this place is like kind of like Woodward, but it's got its own vibe. It's privately owned, so it's not like part of a bigger thing like Woodward, but it's sick. So we took an existing place that already had concrete parks and stuff, and it's like adding stuff every year. We did a curved wall this year, a hitching post, which we started doing that last year. So I didn't want to be like tacky and be like, oh, it's early 2000s, you have to have like mid-school clothing and stuff. I didn't want to do anything like that. I wanted to make it like, dude, I like current BMX, and I just was like, dude, just come out and ride. We're just gonna have some features that were like cool in the early 2000s. It's not like you have to have like bring your mid-school bike or something. Like,
yeah.
I just wanted to keep it, cool and authentic without like being cheesy and being like, yeah, everything has to be like early 2000s themed. But I just wanted to have like hitching posts and the curb wall and stuff that you don't see that much anymore.
Right? Yeah, because everything's plaza rails, banks.
So yeah, we incorporated all that into the existing like concrete park and stuff.
That's very cool. And then when you say who is helping you with putting something like this on, or is it all you?
I'm the one that came up with the jam and everything, but I have friends like one of my buddies has a construction company. He does a lot of building for Woodward and other places, and he built these ramps for me in the camp last minute. And then obviously the owner of this place is super cool. He's an old school skater, and he's just down for whatever. So it's definitely a group effort. And, Eastern Bikes throws in a lot for they paid for the hitching post and stuff. So, it's like all the sponsors involved, Little Devil, shout out to everybody, Peep Game, Odyssey, everybody that contributed everything. So I just say it's a group effort in that way. And
hell yeah,
all the dudes that dug on the trails before I was even here to get this going, even though the trails got rained out from the hurricane.
Yeah. Damn, dude. So how bad did the hurricane affect it?
I was stuck in Vegas. I was supposed to be here a day earlier, and everybody got here Friday to practice, quote unquote. It's like a jam, but it's also a contest. You don't have to compete.
Yeah.
So I wasn't even here until an hour before it started. And that did affect a lot of people because a lot of people were going to either fly out or drive, and there's people stuck in certain places on the East Coast, like Florida. People couldn't get here. I'm in North Carolina, pretty much technically Virginia, but it's really North Carolina almost. It's like
Yeah.
right on the border, and a lot of people couldn't get here, but the ones that did were stoked because it did work out on Saturday, and it was still a good turnout. So, I mean, not as good as what it could have been, but we all had a
Yeah.
blast, you know.
Did you say before we were rolling that it rained, or did you say maybe we were rolling? Did you say it
It was
rained?
raining, yeah. It rinsed.
Yeah.
Actually, a power outage too up until like the jam started. So we like had to run the microphone off the music off the generator. It was just like it was rough, but we made it work, and it turned out really sick. And everybody was like, "There was no Wi-Fi here for the first day. You weren't here." I'm like, "Yeah, it's the early 2000s jam. There's no Wi-Fi." But,
Yes, dude.
but
That's
now it's
great.
all good.
That's bomb. From what I've seen, it looks like a pretty fun time. What do you think? What were some highlights from
Oh,
your end?
Ricani riding the hitching post was sick, just because he was like
Oh yeah,
incorporating his style on that thing. It was
yeah.
pretty dope. And Nathan Powell's like an underground shredder. He was one of those kids that was like destined to be pro, and he was like 15. He was amazing. This is like 2006 ish, seven, and he quit riding for like 10 years until he was 30, and started riding again. And he's
Huh.
amazing. And he's like, if you don't know who Nathan Powell is, he's like better than
Yeah. I don't think I
most.
do. Nathan
Yeah,
Powell.
he's definitely riding like an insane pro level. Like the stuff he's doing,
Nat Powell on Instagram. Nat_Powell. Sick.
unreal. Yeah, he was like a prodigy kid and quit
You know what?
riding.
Yeah,
And
he looks familiar actually.
yeah, he's really good.
Hell yeah. Cool. Welcome back to biking, Nat Powell. That's badass. Um, shit. What other things did you think about any other obstacles that would represent early 2000s that you didn't get to do? Like hitching post, curb wall, those are both amazing. What else represents early 2000s BMX to you?
You know, it's just more of like a yeah. As far as obstacles go, I mean, we're gonna do next year. We're gonna even come up with some more stuff. But you know, I don't want to say like BMX is lacking this type of stuff because there's a lot of cool jams for sure.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to have that energy where it's not like I'm not the only one doing stuff like this. You know, that's like, but I wanted to do something where it's just not like has yeah, I love the vibe where people are just coming from all over. That was like the early 2000s for me, where you have dudes of different styles coming in to ride, hang out, camp, party, whatever, because everybody just camps here for the whole weekend, and it's sick. And you just ride trails and hang out. And I wanted to do something like this because it encompasses all types of riding. You know,
Yep.
trails, park, street, whatever. Like because there's rails and plaza stuff here, so it's just like
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you got any ledges and manual pads?
oh,
Maybe
there's
I'll come
plenty of
next
that. Yeah,
year.
there's tons of that stuff. So I just wanted the company like encompass all that stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
really
awesome.
worked out. So I don't think it was really lacking as far as features go, but we're gonna definitely do more the next year too. I just want to keep
Yeah.
adding every year something different. So
Community and like when you think of the old days, you think of the stories of like dudes in Iowa driving over to I don't know Pennsylvania. I don't know
exactly,
Pennsylvania. Just make some shit
yeah,
up.
yeah, and it's cool because there's a lot of dudes that were like dudes from the mid school era coming here. There's a dude here that was also from Las. He's from Las Vegas, but he came out here and he destroyed the hitching post. And this dude's probably 40, if I had to guess, and he was brakeless for pegs now, but he was riding hitching post, and you could tell back in the day he was riding like brakes and had hitching post tricks for days because
Yeah,
the stuff he's
dude. He's
doing on
like,
the
I've been
hitching post.
training my whole life for this day.
Yeah, he goes, Dan, I haven't ridden one of these things in like 12 years since like Skate City and Vegas closed, but it's all coming back to me. And he was just putting on a show. It's just Justin Stapleton kid from
Yeah,
Vegas. He's like Ryan Mills' buddy, killed it. So like, it's cool to see like people coming out of the woodwork to just fucking destroy like this stuff out here.
it's really crazy. Like you don't think about it, but or I don't think about it, and then you bring up like hitching posts. I'm like, you're right. Like I haven't seen that since ages ago. It's kind of crazy that shit went away.
Yeah, I mean Swamp Fest had one this year, but they didn't. It wasn't like the main highlight of it, obviously, but it's sick that they had one. It was cool. Like
Yeah.
so, I just wanted to focus on a hitching post, you know.
Yep. That's badass. What I mean, when I ask you this, I'm not saying like today's lacking anything, but what are some other things that represent early 2000s to you? Like community, hitching post, curb wall. What else?
Diversity of style. You remember when you were like, oh, that's Alistair Witten, he's known for this and he does this, and then Ruben has his own style, and you like see Frymouth and you see like everybody has their own unique style. That's really the main thing. Like dudes, you'd be like, man, you got those Alistair Witten like hand plants, or you got that Ruben like tire slides or whatever. So like that is kind of like you identify certain pros with certain tricks. That was kind of the main thing in my
Yeah.
opinion.
How old are you?
35.
35. I'm 34. Let's go.
Yeah.
Similar era. What's your origin story? And then like why are we both locked in the early 2000s? Because those are like, it's for me, I don't know. What do you categorize first? How do you classify early 2000s? 2000 to 2010?
Yeah, I mean, even it's hard to say, like, 2010, all that technically is like, yeah, I have to like say that's for like, I do throwback stuff like 2010 posts and stuff like that. Is it really early 2000s? No, not really. Probably you'd say like mid
Yeah,
2000s.
2004 would be the end of early
Yeah.
2000.
So, but like, I do post mostly early 2000s stuff, but obviously like I'll highlight stuff from all those time
Yeah.
periods. So
So what's your origin story, James?
I'm from Columbus, Ohio, and it was a BMX mecca. I was very lucky to grow up there.
It was at Mecca, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, Ohio in general. So I worked at the Flow skate park, and it stuff comes full circle because the owner of the Flow, which is a legendary park, it was like voted the #1 bike park by Trans World and Fuel. It was crazy, man. He actually built. He's got a ramp building company now. He's the one that built this place to begin with, a lot of it, and then he came out this week to build that curb wall and hitching posts and stuff.
Okay, nice.
So
Yeah,
it's
that is a
cool that
full
yeah,
circle
the
moment.
stuff comes full circle. But I used to work there, and I was growing up around all of this stuff, dude. Like the whole mid school era. There's a lot of just pros coming through there all the time, dude. And contests we'd throw there were unreal. So I was lucky
Yeah.
to be involved in all that.
What about like, did you just get a job at the skate park before you started riding, or were you riding before and
No, I
then?
was definitely riding, and I was like the kid that was just always there, like and I was just like
Yeah.
slowly integrated into working there from like just like helping out at first to like just becoming like a staple for sure. And
What was your riding life like? Who were you looking at, and what were you trying to learn, and what bike did you have?
I was all like liked all kinds of riders. Like Ryan Coogler was my favorite for a long time. I liked the contest guys, and then I had like Stephen Hamilton's riding and all that. But then later on, I was more into like tech stuff, like him. I was just like, not that I ride anywhere at the level he does, but I was just like super psyched on like the stuff he was doing. He's also from Ohio. Like I was like, damn, his riding has always been super sick and unique. Like always
You
been
cut out. Who are you saying is from Ohio?
Stephen Hamilton was always
Oh,
like an
okay. Yeah,
influence.
yeah,
I always thought he was sick, like
yeah.
the stuff he does. And I had a lot of influences, but I always liked like that type of stuff too. Like big contest riding, I've always been a fan of as well. Not that I like do that type of riding, but I always like this stuff.
It's fun to watch. I wish I could do that kind of riding, but can't.
Yeah.
Freaking can't. What was your first bike?
My first real bike would have been a Hoffman Taj, and I put T1 stickers on it because I wanted everybody to think it was a T1 because it had the
Nice.
like one. Yeah.
Early 2000s AF, dude. That's crazy. And then working at the Flow, like do you remember being starstruck? Is there a certain moment that happened to you at the Flow that you remember?
It was wild because Jamie Bestwick would put on a contest there of his own, and he would have like all the big names come there and ride against like these underground Midwest shredders from like Cleveland, all over the United States. Like Napolitan before he was like a big name pro, Steve Cuesta, who was actually here this weekend.
Hell
Um,
yeah.
yeah, so you see like guys like Alistair Witten, Chad Kagi, all these Gutler, all these McCann at the Flow riding contest
Yeah.
against these dudes. But I remember like I don't know. It's just you're always around it. Like I remember opening the park on a Monday for Nyquist to come through. They're finishing Josh Harrington's video, Still Searching, which was cool.
Nice.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
had. Yeah, I was just always around it. But yeah, I was always like, just like, damn, this is sick. These guys are here. But I was lucky because it was a regular thing to have guys like that coming through. Like Doyle would come through a lot. It was awesome.
That's a pretty like I'm trying to think of other things that happened like that. That makes me think of the local exposure tour. What was the Jamie Bestwick contest called that he would host and
It
then
was called
have?
the Good Times. When we did have a local exposure tour come through, the first one actually was at the
Nice.
Flow. The Bestwick
Yeah.
contest was called Good Times. He did it 2 years in a row. And McCann won the second year. Gutler won the first year. Gutler broke his jaw really bad on the floor, and then he won, and it was his first contest in the United States, like right out of Australia.
Wild. You have an encyclopedic knowledge of early 2000s BMX contests, which was fun. I remember on the live stream, I was like, okay, 2008 Do Tour. I don't even know. I'm just making random ones up. But you want to test it? Give me a Do Tours or like X Games. Which one?
Let's say D-Tour.
Okay, we'll say
Yeah.
2008 Do Tour. BMX. Is it just, do they do just one a year?
No, they were doing 5
there's
stops.
multiple. Okay. I'll let you pick a city: Orlando, Portland, or Baltimore. Okay, Orlando. Let's see. How do I see who won it? That's funny. Do you know right now off the top of your head? Huh?
Dares. I was actually at that one. I went down
there in person. Let's see, finals. 2008 October. Dude, I'm just gonna take your word for it. I'm like trying to look up who won. Can't figure it out. That's awesome. I wish I had your memory, man. I'm looking at footage for Mediocre too, and I'm just like, I don't remember that. Like, it was 2 years ago, and I don't remember being at some of the places that we've been to. Why do you have this encyclopedic memory for all this shit?
I just love this stuff. Obviously, it's like,
yeah,
I've always been into it. You know, like I've always wanted to more than I never really like being a pro was never like my interest. I always wanted to like be a part of the industry. I was always like into the creative side of it, you know, and like the media and all that stuff. Like I always loved that stuff, man.
So I'm curious, like, did you do really good in school? Are you a little brainiac or what?
No, I was never into school. Like I probably learned more outside of school. And like said, like in a lot of ways, like I was always just into action sports. Like I was never going to be a pro, so I just wanted to learn like the marketing and all this stuff. And I was like interested in just the action sports industry as a whole. Not except at one point, I was just like, damn, this is cool. Like I started working for like reps and stuff for like clothing brands that weren't just BMX, like Quicksilver. I was helping out with this guy that was a rep for that and stuff. And I was just learning like the apparel market and clothing, and I just love the whole process of like that stuff, you know?
Yeah, that's cool. And that's like, honestly, that's better than school, to go get real life experience and learn from the world.
Oh yeah, I was so lucky for sure. I feel like hanging out with like an older crowd when I was a teenager, just like being exposed to that stuff, like seeing that you can like take something and like build it into like, you know, whatever. Because I was meeting BMX is very entrepreneurial, obviously. Like we did a trip down to Sparky's when I was really young, like all kinds of stuff, and I was seeing like, damn, you could start like this and this and a clothing company. And like there was a dude that started a company called Below Shoe. It was a shoe company that like Nathan Williams was riding for a minute, and Corrali. He was previously like the TM for Duff's, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like this guy's starting a shoe company, and then you meet people like all this stuff, and you start like learning like, damn, you could do this on your own. And I would put on a contest at the Flow myself called like the King of Rhythm, and it was just like a rhythm section focused contest. And I'm like, I love that creativity of it. So that's why today I'm still doing like jams and contests and stuff, because I'm like, this is like, it's just cool to like take something from an idea to reality.
100%. And it's just like, it's almost liberating when you grow up, and then I don't know, depending on your environment, you could be raised by parents who are like super not condescending, but like not supportive, and they're like, oh, you don't need to do that. No, you would not. Don't worry. Oh, who's gonna do that type of attitude? You know, like just kind of putting you down. Or you could be around people who are like, hey, you could just kind of do shit. You ever seen that guy on Instagram? He's like, hey, hi guys, you know, you could just go do stuff. Yeah. And it's pretty valuable. So I'm glad you're doing stuff and making ideas come to reality.
Yeah, it's fun, man. I love this stuff, dude, for sure. It's just the whole culture of it. It's awesome.
I want to talk about your kind of path in life. You start working at the bike shop. Is that your first job, or were you working somewhere else before?
Oh, it was a skate park. Yeah, so I was working at the skate park.
Yeah, sorry, bike shop.
Yeah, it was technically my first job. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely like my first experience. It's all good. Yeah, it was my first experience like in doing like anything like that. And then from there, I met this clothing rep. He was working for Quicksilver, and he would like be involved in like skating and stuff like that world. And we obviously were a skate park, so he would sponsor events and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I was helping him out one day. He's like, hey man, do you want a job? Like helping me out. Like he's like an assistant pretty much. I was like 18, 19. I think I was actually still in high school when I started. And he's like, you want to go on the road to go to like, he started taking me to like trade shows and stuff. So I go to like clothing trade shows, and my parents were cool enough to like let me miss school for some of that. So I go to like dinner with people from like DC Shoes and stuff. I'm like, this is sweet. Like, I just love that whole world. I'm like, because this apparel,
and
yeah, it was just like, this is awesome. And there was just like, so that was just like really a driving force of just seeing like all that. And then,
no, tell me more about that job. What did this Quicksilver rep have you do like as an assistant?
all kinds of stuff, everything, like I would organize, we have to organize the clothes by a certain style. He'd get all these samples. We would send samples to like magazines to take photos of. Like even Dance Comp at the time was carrying Quicksilver for some reason. So we'd like pack an order for where they would like just take photo samples of certain things they're going to carry and stuff like that, just like moving racks of clothes, organizing things by a certain like collection and stuff. Like,
You're a
yeah,
high
so
school kid. What's he paying you minimum wage back then for
a
that?
little bit more than that, and I had so much free clothes. I was living at home rent free, paying for
Nice.
school, but
Yeah.
I was coming to school decked out, dude. I had like super sick, like $400 jackets, like brand new shoes. Like
Hell
it was
yes.
sick at the time. I was like, dude, this is fucking awesome.
Like, damn, I didn't know James was rich. That's cool.
I felt like it, dude.
Yeah, I bet. All right, well, that's dope. Does that open any other doors, or what comes next in the trajectory of?
That kind of showed me like, because that guy used to work for DK Bikes actually back in the day. So that guy came from a BMX background, and he was like telling me old stories of like the old days of like the DK dirt circuits and stuff. And then I'm still working at the skate park at the time too, and all that stuff. And I was like, um, just kind of like, damn, I always wanted to do like my own thing. And I was like, this would be cool to like, I never knew exactly what that was, but I was riding bikes and hanging out with my friends, and the scene started drying up around 2011 ish, 12 ish, and I had started working at a snowboard shop because I knew that shop through Quicksilver. That was one of their accounts, and my friend was like their buyer there. That would she would like order all the clothing for that store, and
Yeah,
I didn't snowboard. I just started working there because I like knew that stuff. And then that park I worked at closed, and our scene kind of died.
damn.
And
R.I.P.
I went on a snowboarding trip with that snowboarding shop out west, and my friend had moved to Tahoe that I knew that worked at the shop with me the year prior, and she's like, "Oh, you should check out Lake Tahoe." And I was like, went out there, and I was like, "This is sick," and I just sent it and moved out there, and I've been there for 10 years now.
Nice, good for
Yeah,
you. That's
yeah,
awesome. Yeah, I would say Lake Tahoe is probably a little bit better than Ohio. No
that's a lot
offense.
better. California in
Yeah.
general is awesome.
What do you think is your favorite part of being from Ohio? What's good about Ohio? Everybody talks shit on Ohio. Let's say something nice about Ohio.
I mean, it's going to come back to riding again. It's going to be like after those flow sessions, we would all go to campus and ride street, and there would be like 18 guys out riding street, and we would be just always somebody would be at the curve wall ride, like the one that was in Road
The
Fools.
famous one. Yeah.
Yeah, and we'd always meet up there. And Hamilton would be there, or Ian Schwartz, or you'd have like guys, all kinds of guys that like. So you rode at the flow, caught the park session, and there's always a time where there's dudes riding streets. So you go ride street till 2 or 3 in the morning, and it was just
That's
like on
badass.
Ohio State campus, which is integrated in the downtown. And on summer nights, it was just so much fun, dude. It was just like those were the days, dude. Always like you run into so much adventures like on the street, like just all kinds of crazy stuff. It was
Those
just
are the good old days right there.
oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, so I mean, career-wise, you moved just working at the snowboard spot, and then moved to Lake Tahoe, and
Yeah,
still,
yeah. I
what are you
hadn't
doing?
even been to California prior to that, and
Yeah,
yeah, like I said, I was like, I knew like the outerwear and stuff for like the clothing for like that's why I kind of got into the snowboard shop because I like knew about the brands and stuff. And I was like, oh, this is sick. And I started snowboarding, which I hadn't done that prior. And I'm like, man, this is awesome. Nobody's really riding anymore. And there was like a place in Ohio that wasn't great for snowboarding, but it was like open till 3 a.m. And I just started going all the time. And I was like, oh, this is fun. But never got into it like I am with BMX, but it was just like a fun hobby. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I have no reason to stay here. So I'm just going to send it to California. And
fuck yeah. And then what'd you do when you got out there? Because California is not cheap to live in. You know what?
I worked at snowboard shops, but on the way there, I stopped at my buddies in Colorado who works for like, who used to own the Flow. And one of them, there's two owners. One of them moved to Colorado to work in the snowboard industry. Nothing to do with me on that end of it. Like he not affiliated with like what I was doing, but he
Yeah,
also works for like snowboard industry. And I stayed with him, and he's like, "You should just live in Colorado." I'm like, "Nah, I want to keep going to Cali." But I realized Interbike was going on in a few days. I'm like, "Fuck, I'm gonna reroute and go through Vegas." And I ended up going in and going to Interbike for like the whole time and just hanging out and with the DK guys because I was friends with Trevor from DK at the time. He was the TM,
nice.
and it
Yeah.
was awesome. Just so like that whole trip out there, I went from Colorado to Interbike, then up
What
to
year is this?
yeah, it would have been 2000, been 11 years ago, 10 years ago.
2014, 13.
Yeah, ish. Yeah,
I
yeah,
was gonna say we probably have crossed paths, dude. I went to those Interbikes,
yeah,
2013, 14.
exactly.
Yeah, that's crazy. I can't remember because like I always kind of got a pass handed to me from somebody, but I think you have to pay a bunch of money just to go to Interbike, right?
I don't know. I had passed you.
Yeah, just fucking. So I remember having people come out from the conference, pass me their pass, and then was just
So
swoop off.
my buddy was
And
so
get in.
busy at the trade show, and I was like, he's like, yeah, I'll get you in, and he was so busy to like come out and even do that. So I remember looking at the wristbands, and I'm like, damn. And I was in the hotel lobby. It was like I think it was, oh man, what hotel would it have been? I forget what it was, but Mandalay Bay or
Oh,
something. And there was these stupid brochures in the lobby, and the bottom trim of them was like red, and it was like 1 inch, and I just chipped it away, and I put it around my. Oh no, it was a badge. It looked like a badge because. So I folded it over, had the red on, and I took a shoelace and put it around my neck, and just like walked in with my bag like I was supposed to be in there, and they let me in until I was able to get a real pass. So that was
that's
how I
crazy.
got in, like at
Yeah,
first to meet up with my friend. He's like, "How'd you get in here already?" And I was like, "Check this out," and he just started laughing
because I just Ocean's 11'd it. I just catch
because
me
I
if you
didn't want to
can.
wait like 4 hours for him to come out and give me a pass at the time. I was like so eager. I'm like, I'm getting in now. I'm like, I'm not gonna wait. Yeah.
Tell me, do you remember that Interbike specifically? Like I remember my first Interbike and seeing, I think Chad Shackelford was the first big like, oh shit, that's
Yeah, I
Chad
remember it because I
Shackelford.
was walking through the thing and somebody taps me on the shoulder like, "Excuse me," and I'm like, am I gonna get fucking reamed about my past?" And it was Mike Aiken. He's like, "You know where the BMX section is?" And I'm like,
Wow.
"I'm in." I'm in. I'm like, "Hell yeah!"
Yes, dude, that's amazing. I miss being young and getting starstruck. Those were the days. Um, she, well, snowboard industry. I'm I'm interested in your thoughts on that because like you've worked in the industry in both. And what did it? Why? I don't know. I can already answer that question already. I was gonna ask like, why do you think snowboarding has so much more uh money than BMX does?
I don't think it has a ton of money anymore. It did have more at one point, but it probably still has more than BMX. I think it's because more people probably do it. It's like more like people casually snowboard, but you don't see like people like I'm gonna ride BMX. Like, there's a lot of people that come to Tahoe that snowboard, on a trip, like
Yeah,
that are like parents and stuff. They're not. You're not going to see that as much with BMX. You're not going to see some like random dad
that's
that's going
right.
to be like
Yeah,
works in the office, like I'm going to go ride BMX for the weekend with my friends.
yeah,
Like,
it's not
obviously there's riders that do that, but like snowboarding, you can do it more. It's more like a casual thing. You ski or you
right.
snowboard.
Yeah,
I saw a lot of parallels with that with the BMX industry, and I was even involved in like some skate shops and stuff. And I was just like, even though I'm not like a skater, I just really saw like the parallels of it as a whole. And I'm like, this is really cool. Like all this stuff, and I saw like how it goes full circle. And another thing about skating is somebody made a good point. Is this guy that worked for Duff's, and he's like, the reason skateboarding has a lot more money than BMX is because you'll see BMXers wearing skater shoes, but you'll never see a skater wearing BMX shoes. So you never
yeah.
see a skater. You're not going to see skaters wearing Orchids, but you'll see BMXers wearing Lakai's.
Yep, that's true. And
Yeah,
it's I think that in particular, like the shoes, just the culture was created by skateboarding, like
sure,
the
there's no doubt
skateboarding
about it.
culture. And then BMX has its own culture in a sense, but like the whole alternative sports type of vibe, skating pretty much invented that. So
Sure.
they kind of that's an interesting thing, but because it's like what came first, popular skateboarding or popular BMX riding, and it's for sure skateboarding. Like it was much more like elementary skaters. I don't.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
need
you
to
see
learn the
you see
origin
guys at the
story of
mall
the dog.
wearing shirts, skating shirts that don't skate. You're not going to
Yeah,
see that with BMX.
exactly. So this, I mean, I can tell you're genuinely interested in all of it, and I'm curious, like what got you hyped on just being in the industry, like working at a snowboard shop or a bike shop, or like why did you find the industry so appealing?
I don't know.
What it
Again, it was just driven like by that creativity. Like I always was like, damn, that. Like, I always like the fashion side of it too. And I'm like, that's or like just like that looks how like certain people present themselves, or how like a company will market a certain rider, or how like DC would do like these certain like ads and make it look super clean, like a black and white photo, and
Yeah,
like I was like, that's dope. And I like seeing it at a core level too. Like I was like, it's cool seeing like how FBM's doing like this, how they doing like an ad, and it's like certain things I'm just like always interested in that. I was like, this is neat, like different brands and stuff. Like have their own image, you know. So I always thought that was cool. That's why
Yeah,
I
marketing.
yeah, I just always thought that was cool. Like that's kind of what drove me into it. Like, and just goes back to that.
I relate to that. I'm very interested in the marketing aspect of it and like the brand identity and the core mission, blah blah blah. But you never like it's one of those things that you kind of get interested in before you realize that there's a term called marketing, and that's what marketing is all
Yeah,
about. Like,
I would say marketing, but yeah, I just wanted to be more like not so vague, you know. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. It's a cool thing. So, uh, let's talk about I guess what you're up to now. Like, how long has this? Are you? What are you doing with early 2000s BMX? Oh, hey, I just wanted to pop in here and let you know that this episode is brought to you by Burn Slow. Go to burnslow.co. Get yourself the classic logo tee in purple. It's probably my favorite one right now. It's printed on Comfort Colors, which is like the best blank for t-shirts, and it's a very cool logo. The world's on fire, which is pretty accurate. And I got no promo code for you yet, maybe, but Adam is a great human being. Burn Slow is a cool company owned by only BMX riders, and it's worth supporting. I don't know if you checked out the episode with Adam, but the story behind the company is really cool, and it's like he's running it like a non-profit and paying riders well when it comes to creating the content to help market it. So if Burn Slow is tight, go support it, and thank you for sponsoring the show, Burn Slow. burnslow.co. Man, are you ever just like riding your bike and then something breaks and you're like, I could use a online store to purchase something for myself? Well, I have something for you. It's called dancecomp.com. If you go to dancecomp.com right now and use promo code Kanode, you're going to save 15%. And that's massive savings, 15%. Go get yourself some new handlebars. Go support your favorite brand and support me. The more that you guys use that code, the better it looks for this podcast. And then I feel like we're more of a legit show because, you know, I don't know. That's fuck. That's got to be good, right? Okay. dancecomp.com, promo code Kanode. Appreciate it. This episode is brought to you by Unity Ride Shop. Located on 43rd Avenue in Bethany Home in Phoenix, Arizona, Unity is the shop holding it down for Phoenix right now. And I mean, it's been a couple of years actually, but it's a very, very cool shop with a stock that makes other BMX shops look bad. They have a lot of stuff in stock. The shop is hosting jams, sponsoring local riders, doing the most, and it's all out of the love of the game. I mean, if you've been listening to the show, you know BMX is not very profitable business model, so it's really nice to have something like that, and you can't take it for granted. So if you're in Phoenix and you need some stuff for your bike, go to unityrideshop.com or just stop in. It's on the southwest corner of 43rd Avenue in Bethany Home. Yeah, go get your bike worked on. Go buy some stuff. I was just in there with Zach Beerley the other day, and we got a new chain and some da-da-da. I got some skateboard wheels. It's all around. They got skateboard stuff, too, and scooter stuff, and finger bikes, and finger skateboards. It's very cool. Shout out Randy. Shout out Unity Ride Shop. Thank you for supporting the show, and you guys should go support them, especially if you're in Phoenix. If you're not in Phoenix, I don't blame you if you don't go. But anyway, back to the show.
I'm running it, you know, just as a media page, you know, media brand. I have a TikTok. It's not just Instagram. So I do TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, not so much on YouTube. I'll do shorts and stuff occasionally. I uploaded some interviews that I've done on there, but nothing crazy. But Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, I'm doing that. And, you know, we're running like just different things on there, just obviously throwbacks. And then we'll post content from like stuff that I go to. Like if I go to like an event and stuff, I'll film clips, or if I throw like a jam or something, I just try to highlight stuff like that. And I also interview like collectors. So I try to like talk to people with a mid-school collection. They might collect every 2-hip frame ever, you know, or they might be like, there's a dude that just collects Specialized stuff out of Vegas that I talk to. And there's another dude that just collects Sunday, like, you know what I mean? And there's a Schwinn collector. He just only collects Schwinn. So it's cool. And there's a guy that just collects mid-school t-shirts, and he goes through his collection. So it's cool. There's all these collectors. There's a guy that only collects Little Devil stuff. He has like every Little Devil shirt ever, knows all the tags, every era of like what they would do, like printing wise and stuff. It's crazy. So you get all these people. Yeah. There's like so many guys that just collect certain aspects of BMX, and it's fascinating.
So you said, is that on the long form on YouTube? Is that what those are?
No, I do that on Instagram Live, and I
Okay.
repost them up to Instagram. So,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay,
yeah, yeah.
gotcha.
Well,
That's
and
what
I also
I meant
interviewed
to
like
follow those.
pros and stuff too, but
Yeah.
I'd mix it up between that and just people like that are collecting, and then I'll interview like different pros, like Aiken. I did one with him, or just certain people like in the industry. So
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting stuff, especially that collector stuff is wild to think about. Like, I can't imagine myself collecting mid school or any school BMX stuff. I've just never been one to keep stuff, but that's like
for sure,
people's whole thing. It's a cool interest.
it is.
When did you start this project? Early 2000s BMX. Was it always called this? How long
Yeah.
have you been posting it?
So I actually started it in 2015 before you put videos on Instagram, but it was just
Wow.
photos. And I don't know why. I was just like, dude, this is cool. I was just like, I'm gonna post some like throwback photos. And it was like whatever, like people were psyched on it, but I wasn't doing anything with it. I was just like save the page, I would post some stuff. And then the first interview I ever did was with Dave Dilward, and it was a written interview because you couldn't do video post. So I had to like put the answers in the comments, the question and answers, and I also did them on like the post, like on the
Yeah.
page. I had like a photo like with the text and stuff. So it was like a magazine style interview.
Cool.
And I went through recently and cleaned it up and like put it in a better format. But I was doing like written interviews back then, and I wasn't really taking it too serious. And I stopped for like 5 years, and then COVID happened, and I was already doing like social media marketing stuff. And I was like, picked it up, and I was like, I'm gonna do an Instagram live interview and start doing it, interviewing like pros and stuff on live. And it just started snowballing. It just everybody was home, everybody was freed up,
Yeah, for real.
and
They're
started
like, show
posting
me more.
stuff.
Keep going.
Yeah, I just started posting stuff too. Obviously, it's just like videos and all kinds of stuff. Obviously, so it just started taking off from there. I really say it was really 2020 because that's when I started to actually like quote unquote take it serious or just like put more time to it. Or
Right.
whenever COVID happened, but it was actually 2015 when I like saved the account name.
So, I mean, 9 years of building early 2000s BMX. That's not nothing, dude.
I would say not 9 though, because I literally
Oh yeah,
yeah,
-5 because of the break, right?
yeah, I would even the early stages. It was like posting maybe like a few times a month. I wouldn't. It was
Yeah.
just like different. Yeah, I wasn't. I had like no intentions. It had like it was just whatever. I was just like, oh, this is cool. And then like I actually started picking up on it in 2020. So I say I
Yeah.
saved the name pretty much. Yeah, and then but still, it's a decent amount of time. Yeah, it's already been 4 years
Fuck
of
yeah.
solid
You're,
like consistently.
you're doing great work. I mean, even before I like met you, I've been following early 2000s for I don't even know how long. It's just it's one of those things that just like you don't think about it, but it's like obviously I'm following this, and then keep living your life and keep seeing random cool shit, and it's like this is fucking awesome. And then come to find out you're pretty awesome too, dog.
Yeah, likewise, man. It's cool. I've been a fan of your podcast, obviously. Like, I know we've been talking the last few months now, doing lives and stuff, which is cool. But I was listening to your podcast for a while too, so it's always cool to see like different creators and stuff in BMX, and it's just what it needs. I feel like it's
Yeah.
awesome.
We're in this new era of like we said before, you could just do something,
Well, I
and
feel like this is a very DIY, do-it-yourself era of BMX right now. I feel like
yeah,
it's kind of crazy because it's like Hoffman talks about when BMX died, he started doing these sprocket jockey shows at fairs, and it was his show team because there was nothing going on in BMX in like a certain part of the 90s, and he kind of brought it back in that sense. And it was like do it yourself. And I feel like right now it is kind of like do it yourself because like a lot of the companies that were involved aren't involved. The TV coverage isn't what it was. So now it's
mm-hmm.
like you want to fucking do something. Now's the time because you have. That's always what's kind of fascinated me with social media too. Is like I took a free account that anybody can start an Instagram account and just turn it into something. And I love that anybody, if you put your time into something and dedicate yourself, you can do it. And you could. It's like in BMX right now. If you want to do something, now's the time to do it because it's like
Fuck yeah, it is for real. Yeah. So if you're listening, go do the thing that you thought about doing.
If it's a t-shirt company, whatever it is, just you can throw a jam, whatever. Like you have no really excuse not to at this point.
I'm curious about like monetizing it at all. Have you earned income from early 2000s?
I definitely monetize it. Like obviously, like I love it and stuff like that. I don't just look like oh, I'm gonna make doing this for money. Like I love it, but I do monetize it. You know, I'll do ads and stuff, and I'll do like different things like that, and I get paid off of certain video views and stuff like that. And
Nice.
yeah, so I mean, it's cool. Like I pretty much look at it as a media company, you know, like a media brand.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
100%. And it's good to make money because then you can keep doing it. You know,
yeah,
it's
I love it. And then yeah, it's cool, and you know, it gets opportunity. You meet people like yourself or other people. You know, it's like connections, opportunities to do other stuff. So that's also cool. That's another cool thing about
big
like
time.
yeah. So it's like a BMX is cool. It's also a good networking tool because there's a lot of people in BMX that are doing cool stuff. So like you connect a lot of dots. So it's a cool community. There's a lot of creative people. So if you're you know there's filmers, there's graphic designers, there's all kinds of people doing stuff. You never
Yes, sir.
know like what you know. It's just pretty fascinating. Yeah.
It's pretty much like every cool BMX person that I've met from traveling or whatever, they're all fucking rad. Like the
Yeah,
BMX is one part of their life, but then like outside of their life, they're usually pretty fucking talented and cool and awesome. And
for sure.
big fan. You're not wrong about that. Tell me about this ad stuff a little bit more. Like when did it come about and how did your first ad, if you don't mind sharing, like
I
who
don't
paid
mind at
you what
all.
to do
I
what?
do like
What was
right
your
now it's
first ad?
S and M. Right now it's S&M stuff. Like actually, I ran into Moeller on a layover. Forget what airport it was a while back, and we just started talking for like a good hour before the plane landed or whatever. And he was like, "Yeah." He just started talking to me about my account. We were just talking and started doing like some S&M stuff, it ads, you know, like that, like promo code stuff. And
Sick.
yeah, it's cool. I've sold
What's been
shirts, stuff
the
like that. Yeah, whatever, just different things here and there.
what's been the highlight of doing all this from
Meeting, just getting the track, like just cool stuff. Just like you know, I'm doing jams, getting to do different things. I started working for RBMX through this and stuff like that, which is awesome.
that's how you got that job, huh? You got
Yeah,
through
Fudger hit
your
me up.
account. They
Yeah,
reached
Fudger
out
hit
to
me
you.
up over a
Sick.
year ago, and it was rad. Yeah, he's just like, hey, I don't know if you're would be interested in this or not, but and he just kind of emailed me and hit me up. I gave him my phone number and started talking. And then yeah, it was almost a year ago. I think a little bit over a year possibly, but it's been awesome.
So you work for Our BMX, huh? What do you do there?
Pretty much social media stuff, you know. Obviously, Ryan and Albert are doing that too, and then we got Pat Quinn as well, who's on the East Coast. He does mostly website, but my thing is mostly like a lot of curation on the Instagram, YouTube Shorts, TikTok, and we all kind of contribute to like the unclicked news stuff. We do like
Oh, the monthly what's happening,
yeah,
that
yeah, stuff
spreadsheet,
like
you
that.
help contribute to that? Nice.
I do like I help Fudger a little bit with the filming at Swamp Fest and stuff. That was cool, and then I filmed some stuff at Battle Hastings for Instagram.
Yeah, dude, I
Just
was
on
so
my
jealous
phone,
you got to go there.
mostly. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
cool. It was cool to
It's
do some of that stuff. Like I got some cool iPhone clips for like the Instagram and stuff that were like I forget like the flip whip the Smith grind and stuff like that was wild. Like
yeah.
it was sick.
You're doing it. You're being the media company, and then
I
you're
love it. I just love this.
working for one of the only BMX media companies, which is badass, dude. Yeah, I'm really jealous that you got to go to Hastings. Oh, I was gonna ask about the Instagram posts. Like, it's all about the metrics, dog. Putting up numbers. Do you have any posts that you've made that have blown up? And if so, what was it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, are you talking for my page?
Ain't either page like virality for working for hour or for early. And I'm totally just kidding about the fucking metrics
Oh
joke.
no, I
By
mean,
the way. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, definitely, I'd like, you know, you can't say that it's like, yeah, you want to put stuff that's entertaining too, but like, I look at it like I don't post like gnarly crash videos because you know they're gonna
Yeah.
do numbers and stuff. I definitely
Good.
like I definitely see stuff. I'm like, that's gonna be cool. So like, I'll edit it where like the first 3 seconds, you know how like it shows like the crazy part of the clip from the first 3 seconds, and it starts the whole clip. Like, I'll do that for like virality, you know, like
Yeah.
certain things like that, like for better views and stuff. But I try to post stuff that's like genuinely cool to like the audience, you know, like people that are following. Like, I don't want to like obviously it's very subjective, and certain types of riding people aren't going to be into, but you want to post something that's going to do good, obviously, but you want it to be good riding and stuff like that too. So it's like
Exactly.
finding
And
a
so it's a
quality.
weird balance. And I'm seeing it because I do, both BMX and outside of BMX. And it's almost like shifting towards, bro, I don't care, just get me views. And it's like, all right, let's post a meme or whatever. But it's like there's you can't go too much being driven by like this will perform well. You have to like say,
Yeah,
okay, this is good content, whether it flops or not. This is sick, and I'm glad it's on my page.
exactly.
I'm
I think
wondering.
you, yeah. Well, there's like stuff you want to. There's those benefits to that. You want to post like a variety, like a post that's going to do well for the general audience because it's going to bring in new followers, and then you also want to take care of the people you have, but you want to keep growing your community or whatever you want to call it. Like obviously you don't want to be completely off brand. Like you want to like stay on to like what you're doing, but like yeah, if a post is gonna something like you think is gonna be like, man, this is cool, and you obviously want it to like hit the explore page or something because it is going
Yeah.
to bring in new people and stuff. You want to grow, but at the same time, you want to be authentic to like what you're doing, whatever your project is and stuff. But
When we talk about this stuff, is there any specific post that comes to mind that you've made in the past year or so that blew up that I can look at?
I can't really think of anything off the top of my head, really. I mean, there's been a lot of stuff, but I can't really think of like just one.
I'm looking at our BMXs. There's one that almost has 1 million, and it's Jude Jones doing that front flip transfer. Whew. Yeah,
That's
that's
pretty
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. I posted that one actually. I edited it so it shows it at the first part. No, I didn't.
That's,
That one wasn't one of those ones. But yeah, I mean, I think Fudger might have found that clip. I can't remember, but that's pretty amazing. But
yeah, for
a
real.
lot of the stuff we filmed, like I don't know. I filmed I was at Swamp Fest and filmed one of the videos I made, and I'm not like tooting my own horn because I'm not like I don't consider myself a filmer, but it got 6 million views, which I was pretty psyched on because I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Sheesh. Yeah, dude.
The
Good for you.
thumbnail was really good though. It was like that crazy rail that goes up and down, and it was just a
Yep.
crowd of people around it. So that was cool. But yeah, it's awesome.
It's amazing all the things that you have to consider when doing this, as in like posting content or whatever, which is like, I remember 10 years ago, posting content was kind of looked at like, oh, you fucking loser. You're a nerd. Now it's just like par for the course. Everybody has to do it. Like, you don't have to
Yeah.
do it, but it's just like, that's part of the game. And I'm curious if you were giving advice to, a 15-year-old kid who's like, I love BMX and I want to, post on social media. What are some general rules of thumb or pieces of advice you would give them on social media?
Well, if you're doing anything like if you're doing a media page, like I try to make mine like I try to contribute a lot of my own stuff to it. So it's like, and when I do repost stuff, it's like you credit the filmer, you try to give your opinion on it, and a lot of times to add something to it. Like there are like a lot of repost pages that like I remember like I filmed something, I forget what it was. It was like Larry Edgar and Hastings or something like that. And you just see a lot of repost pages post it and then they don't credit or anything, which I don't really care personally. But I'm just saying, like, if you're gonna repost somebody's stuff, you should at least credit them or put like a caption of your own or whatever. Like if
Yeah.
you're it's just more genuine, they'll appreciate it more. Like because like you also want to I feel like you should contribute some original stuff to like your own, like maybe integrate a podcast into it or something like into your page as a whole, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
so if you're going to start something original, like I don't know, bring something new to the table, but it's also like it's fine to like share other people's stuff if they're cool with it and just try to like put your own spin on it, maybe if that makes sense.
100%. And then
Like I'm not
the tip
everything, I'm
you
not
shared.
always writing like a super insightful caption that's like a paragraph, like
Oh, yeah.
but I try to like highlight certain things and try to I always tag the rider if I can. Obviously there's times where like you might forget to tag the filmer, but you always try to make it if you can
That
find
is a
that.
best practice right there. I had Stu Johnson message me the other day saying, "Hey, you should give credit to the filmers for in all of your clips." And I'm like, "Fuck, dude, it's so
Yeah,
much." Like, I'm when I post and I just and then post and ghost and walk away and
for sure.
get back to work. But now I got to put in a little extra effort, a little tiny extra effort. But it feels good to give credit where it's due. But you mentioned earlier that was a good tip that you practice yourself, in that like you take the most engaging 3 seconds of the clip, if it's a riding clip of you, and you let that play first, and then you start the clip over after that and let it
Yeah,
play out. Is there
exactly. Like even
anything
like
else like that you would suggest people do?
yeah, I mean like any clip like that, even if it's just like talking like a podcast, you want to put the most interesting 3 seconds at the first. If you're doing like if you're taking something from a podcast, just to get people engaged, right?
Yeah,
So
and make them stay. All right. What about shit like time of day? Have you noticed that the time of day that you post matters?
It depends because it's funny. I do social media for other people as well, and it like depends on what your industry is or what followers you have. Like if I post something at night, it could do good because of the UK following and stuff. But it really depends. Yeah, so it's like there definitely that is something to pay attention to. You should just base it off of your Instagram will show you all that stuff, so you can kind of see it.
Yeah, it's really interesting, like, because I can relate to that. You post something late at night, and then the UK homies are liking it, and you're like, oh shit, you boys are up. And then it's like, 4 p.m. here, and they're not awake yet, type of thing.
Yeah, so that's kind of one of the things, but play around with it and stuff. But yeah, it's cool.
What else? How about hashtags? What are your thoughts on hashtags?
Hashtags are kind of their Instagram's. It's not as important as they were. So
yeah.
And this is the like social media marketing 101. But it's funny because like a lot of posts are doing really good without any hashtags now, but it's still good because hashtags kind of tell Instagram what your post is about in a sense. So it's good to throw them in there.
What about length? I'm just gonna social media because I've been in this world for a while, and these are the questions you get. It's just like, all right, so what's the ideal length of a clip?
I feel like the shorter stuff right now is doing better if you even than a full minute and 30 seconds on a reel, but it just depends again, and you want to kind of get to the point a little bit. So like you want to, because you're competing with somebody's like pictures of their family or their dog or whatever. You're scrolling through the feed. This is social media in general, not just BMX. So whatever you have to do has to be interesting. You have to keep in mind a lot of people are at work; they're not watching with sound, and you also have to that's what I'm saying. So get to the point with your reel. Whereas TikTok, people are mostly going on to TikTok with sound. It's just like something you listen to more, and it's more like TikTok's more of like a thing you're just. But Instagram, everybody might be in line at the grocery store or the bank, and they don't have their sound on, but they're thumbing through it. But you want something that's like have a hook on there, like again going back to that. But I'd say so it just depends. But there is a place for long form content. I think podcasts exist for a reason. So some people say
100%.
like nobody has an attention span, but it's just that's not the case. It just depends on where they are at the time or what they're doing.
Yeah. It's so weird to think about how much the algorithms affect all of our lives, and our like perceptions of the world is based on like what Instagram feeds you because of what you've previously looked at. We're living in very weird times, but you're not lying about there's a hunger for it. There's been a hunger for the longer form, more patient type of content. What else can I talk about with social media? Let's talk about shit. What about if you're putting an audio on your clip? Is there any benefit that you've seen from using a trending audio?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there is, but at the same time, it's like that's kind of weird because it's like it depends on what you're doing. Like especially with old school, early 2000s BMX stuff, like it'd be weird to have like a trending audio.
Yeah, it'd be so weird to have a brand new trending audio on like.
So there's certain things like I definitely like. I try to I'm like, okay, like you don't want to put the music for a lot of people is part of it too. Like, they love hearing like, the music from a certain era. So it just depends. If you're, in the general rule of thumb, if you're like running it, if you're doing it for like, say you own like a car wash business or you're doing social media for like some kind of local business or whatever, not a bad idea to do the trending audios and stuff if it only helps. But it depends on your niche though. If you're running like a niche account that, you got to do stuff that makes sense, but I don't want people to also think that I'm just doing the early 2000s stuff off of like statistics and stuff. Cause obviously like it's a thing I love, but if in general, you want to be tactical about what you're doing, it just depends on what you want people to see.
Exactly. Yeah.
You got to play the game.
Yeah. And I think about that too. I'm just like, I don't want to be perceived like this, but it's like, dude, I know that I'm not like, we're in our mid 30s and we still care enough about BMX to do this stuff. It's a fucking balance between like trying to be effective at what you're doing and just doing exactly what you love all the time,
So you asked me about this post, the kind of virality thing. This kind of was, I talked to Sean about this in full disclosure, Sean McCanney, but I posted that clip on our BMX that he was upset about during that whole thing. And he obviously knew that, but it was never a thing out of like a slight at him or whatever. Because originally he thought he was like, he kind of put out something saying like against like whoever. He was just like, and they're just gibbers and they're talking about me and I paid my dues, which Sean's a badass rider. And I found that clip of him.
It's the picnic table one, right?
And I was so stoked on it. I was like, dude, this is so wild.
It's a great clip. Yeah.
But cool. he at the time took it as like, oh, like that was like ironic, like posting me jibbing, which it was the furthest thing. So I talked to him about it and he already knew that, but I was like, dude, come on. Like I definitely thought that clip was sick. And I I post throwback clips all the time. Like that's like kind of my thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, that clip was badass. Maybe he just didn't think by his standards, but he understood. I was just like, nothing but respect. Like that clip was sick. But yeah. So I don't know. I still think that clip's really cool.
Fuck
Obviously.
yeah. That's I mean, Sean is just the internet talk of the town for BMX this year.
He
It's
kills
been
it, man.
fun.
He was shredding this weekend. It was so awesome to see him ride the hitching post too. Like seeing Sean Mercani ride a hitching post was pretty neat.
Yeah, it seems like he's on it, which is cool.
Yeah, Stevie was riding too. Stevie Churchill was shredding too.
Yeah, that's what's up. Who won? It was a contest. Who
It
won the
was.
contest?
We do separate things for like we get like overall riders and stuff like that. Yeah, so Jamie that rides for Shadow. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but
Yeah.
he did a cannonball drop in off the curb wall. So he got cash for doing that. It was like the best trick on that area. Nathan
Sick.
Powell on the hitching post. So we just like different dudes. Ricani threw down money again. Shout out to Sean for doing that on his pursuit. Like he kind of was like chose his best trick that he thought was cool on the hitching post as well. So he gave
Nice.
it to this dude that did like feeble stall to overcook the other way to back in, which is
Sick.
dope. So he threw $100 for that guy, and like, yeah, we gave out over $1,000 just here and there and tons of products. So yeah,
Fuck
cool.
yeah. So it was I'm glad it was a success.
Yeah, a lot of people couldn't make it, but it was still cool.
Yeah. What
But
would be
Little Devil hooked it up, which is awesome because it was always like one of my favorite brands.
fuck yeah, that's
a
cool.
ton of stuff. Yeah.
I'm curious about the status of Little Devil right now. Actually, what's going on with Little Devil? What are they doing?
So my buddy talks to him more than I do, but he said they're having. He doesn't have the overhead probably that he once did, so he's having a good year because like you don't have a warehouse of employees and stuff. You can just do it online. But he's still
their shit is so sick, dude. The 666.
He's posting. He makes new shirts and stuff, but he's also posting like the classics. So it's cool that he's not just trying to be like, I'm just gonna sell my old stuff. He's actually making new designs and stuff too.
Yeah. Can you see it? Yeah, you can see it. This is cool. I want this one. This 666ers, dude. That's fire.
Oh, that's sick. Yeah, I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah. Yeah, Little Devil is dope. I wish him well. That's cool. Cool to see.
Yeah, I don't think they have like a team currently or anything, but he's supporting jams and stuff, and he's doing his own stuff. And I was super psyched. So a huge shout out to him. He sent a ton of stuff, and shout out to Steve-O for doing the Peep Game early 2000s shirt collab. That was awesome.
Shout out Peep Game. So I'm curious on your opinion because like that's an interesting topic actually. Little Devil not having a team. If you were to start a clothing brand right now, and you had like, would you sponsor a team? Would you build a superstar team like Cinema, or do it
like
without
if I started one literally right now, or if I started one with like $1 million? Like, what do you mean?
Like, corporate backing. You have to like get the best ROI.
I'd have a team for sure.
Yeah.
Even I mean, I feel like now I would have a team too, but like it'd be cool to have like, it depends on what the brand would be, like what I would want it to be, like.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Well, let's come up with a name real quick. What's the name of your hypothetical brand?
Square 2.
Nice. Square. All right, Square 2. Who's the starting 5 roster for Square 2?
That's a good one. It would be right now. It would be like, I don't know. You seeing like guys that don't already have sponsors, or like it could just be I could take anybody. It's free.
You could just take anybody.
Yeah, I feel like obviously it would just be like you would say like Dennis Anderson, Chad Curley, blah blah blah. But like, I don't know, man. It's more almost it's more easier to say that if you had like, say like you or I actually started a clothing company, like how would we do it that way? Because it's easy to say if you had unlimited whatever to do whatever. Right. But if we started one now, I would really have to think about it. It's hard to say, just putting me on the spot. Like, but I would definitely want some like diversity of style, but to have it still make sense, like I would want some trail guys, but I also want like a street guy. But at the same time, I wouldn't just want to be like throwing stuff at a wall and being like, I just want them because they're good. Like I want
to have them all be different, but have something in common.
Yeah, like Bone Death has like a certain image where all the riders ride a certain way, and you're like, damn, even the guys that don't ride for me, like that guy would fit on Bone Death. I like brands with an identity, so I would try to have something like that, depending on the brand, like what it would be. So
that's an interesting thought right there. We can come back to building a team, but like give me more examples other than Bone Death of brands that have that you're talking about.
Like Animal, for example, like you wouldn't see
Yeah.
like Logan Martin, one of the best riders in the world. You wouldn't say like that's obvious, but I'm talking about like yeah, certain brands with an identity is kind of I think that's super cool. Like again, like you see a type of rider and you're like, man, they would be like I can see them riding for like this brand or this brand. Like certain dudes fit an image of a brand. It's just and there's certain companies that will throw dudes on a team and you're just kind of like, it seems like you're just kind of seeing what works, but I always
Right.
like the thought behind it. Like it's like it just makes it more like authentic. Like
I agree. It makes me wonder, like, whether it's an intention. Well, that's if it's. Do you are they sitting at the beginning and being like, okay, here's what we want our brand identity to be, and then go that direction? Or I feel like it probably just happens organically for companies, and
yeah,
then
it's hard to
once
say.
you
You
see
know,
it, you keep it going. You know.
yeah, I know some brands try to like have maybe a contest guy, maybe a street guy, but whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it just certain things make sense. Like Robin Morales has always been good at that. Obviously, he's like the king of building like a BMX brand and a team and a story
Yeah.
behind it, like making a certain image.
Dude, when Cult came out in 2010, I just rewatched. I forget who I was talking to, but we were talking about the Cult days. And Adam Roy, I was talking to him about the origins of Cult, and I went back and watched that first Cult promo, and I was like, Jesus, dude, it had such an impact on me. It's crazy. And I've like since then just absolutely loved them. It's crazy to think about.
Yeah,
When we talk about good branding and good marketing, who do you think is doing the best right now in BMX?
I'd say Colt's really on it. Obviously, like they built like a lifestyle brand. I mean, like they're doing trips, they're doing premieres, they're collabing with Vans. Like he's very good at like S&M too. Obviously S&M is like American made. It has this feel and image to it. Like just you feel like it's just like quality. And then they had like that Supreme bike, which is cool, like just out of nowhere. But S&M is like S&M is just like a pillar. S&M is like a pillar in BMX. You know what I mean? Can you imagine BMX without S&M? It'd be weird. It's just like a huge part of it. What Robin Morales has done with Cult, it's really cool to see. Obviously, like so much like what Steve-O's doing with Peep Game is really cool. Like I love the
Yeah,
videos he's doing now. Like he's just did behind the scenes at Cult. I like that video a
that was a
lot.
good one. Yeah.
I like the Tyler Fernango one he did. It's really cool. It just kind of gives you a perception of like their day to day in a sense, but like it's not like cheesy vlogging stuff.
Yeah.
No offense to anybody that does that. Like
He's
I
doing an
just
incredible job of the editing. Like
yeah,
it
I
keeps your
just think it's
attention
cool.
span,
Yeah,
but it's jumpy. It's awesome. I'm a big
yeah. So that's cool. It's just so many people. It's just neat to see. Like
yeah.
yeah.
All right, so let's brainstorm. I set the premiere date for Mediocre at Best 2 for December 21st, and I want to do a marketing plan for the next 3 months to get as many eyeballs as I can. What should I do?
So you actually worked for Sparky's at one point, right?
Mm-hmm.
The king of marketing is Ronnie Bonner, in my opinion, in BMX. He literally was putting out props commercials where people were getting tied up, duct taped, and it just says the shadow is upon you. And when he
Yes.
started Roots Jam, which was 2000, he started actually in the I think late 90s, but the ones that were the year Shadow started was 2002 ish, and he started Shadow, but they had Roots, which is a contest he ran, and there was qualifying. And then overnight, they spray painted "The Shadow is Upon You" all over the ramps, like in stencils, and put the
Yeah.
stickers on people's bikes, and didn't have any explanation that they're behind it. Said nothing about it, and people were like, "What is this? This is weird." Like seeing this, and it was the ultimate marketing launch. Was the Shadow Conspiracy? Like
Fuck yeah.
he
So
literally said he sent stuff to flyers to bike shops, like with the Interbike booth number, and this is "The Shadows Upon You" or whatever, with no explanation. Like
that's pretty badass, yeah. And
yeah.
especially back then, I think there's something to that that practical effect of like going out in the world and spray painting your shit and surprising people and being mysterious. That's very
Yeah,
cool.
nobody knew anything about it. Like he kept it. People thought it was like a weird like cult or whatever. Like this thing just out of
Yeah,
nowhere.
the
And I thought
doomsday
it was cool.
cult
It was a
coming
guerrilla
up.
marketing launch.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think like honestly stickers, like I think of my friend Cleon owns Neighbors Skate Shop, and he just went ham with stickers everywhere in the world for years, and I start seeing them all over Arizona. I'm like, Neighbors Skate Shop is fucking doing it. So stickers are good. I should get some rope and tie some people up and make some mysterious
Now I would
ads
start
and props.
if I was doing mediocre at best. I would start like you'd need some fake drama, some fake controversy. So you'd have to do like something behind the video, like people are like claiming like you'd have to stage it, like somebody saying like, "Damn, you stole my idea," or "You did something. We own that name first," or something, some internet beef to get people talking about it,
Yeah.
and then get like something, just fuel your own fire, and then you'll get eyeballs on it. I don't know.
That is an interesting one to think about with the, like, there are legit PR companies out there that will take a payment of $250,000 and then coordinate some fake beef to get a bunch of eyeballs, and that's the way the world
It's
works.
actually easy to get that for free in BMX. You don't even have to try.
Yeah, for real. I got a little bit of it with Sean. He came on the live stream. I asked him what his dog's name was, and he got offended, and fucking the stream ended. That was fun. Yeah, beef will sell.
Yeah, I really don't know for a video premiere, but I feel like you're doing with your podcast. It's the ultimate marketing tool. You know, like it's another thing too. I want to say is like you start a t-shirt brand, that's an uphill battle. But if you start a project, like if I just threw this jam, it'd be cool, right? But I started early 2000s BMX, and I'm able to sell shirts, so I'm able to do a jam. So it's like start something first, like a project that's offering something like interviews or something, and then you can build off of that, because they're doing it the other way is a lot harder, where it's like, I'm going to start a clothing company and I'm going to post a picture of my shirt and I'm going to post a picture of a guy doing this, and it's like, that's great and all, but like what you've built is like you can do so much more with it, so you're able to promote your video premieres and stuff. Whereas,
and
like,
because of value, you can give.
So like that's what I'm
giving
saying.
Value
like,
to somebody.
Yeah, like same as early 2000s BMX. If I just started selling T-shirts without the page, maybe a few people would buy them. But like, just do it the other way around, where it's like you build something like a community, and then you could branch off from there. So like, offer that first, like, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's smart. What you're already kind of doing it.
I've been doing it for 5 years. Let's go.
It would be it'd be like a media company essentially. Like, somebody said it best. Like Red Bull doesn't have 3 million plus followers because they're talking about their ingredients on social media. Like they're doing it because they're showing their athletes and all kinds of stuff. And you bring that to the table, and then the rest you can branch off. You know, be a media company first, no matter what you're doing.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing to think about. I like it. And I'm totally not serious about this marketing plan. I'm gonna do whatever
I know that. I just
can do,
was
but
being hypothetical.
It's fun to think about it. Like, I do want to do something proper, you know, like, I don't know, have a plan for clips leading up to it, or make it done in time so that I can, like, both the full lengths that I've done in the past, I finished editing it. The first one, it was like 4 hours before the premiere. I finished editing it. Then the second one was like a day, and now I'm gonna try and get it done like a week before, maybe 2 weeks if we're doing good. Anyway, you mentioned t-shirts. When did that part of it come into play, and how is it doing? Like, you have, for people who don't know, like almost 100,000 Instagram followers. That's not nothing. Are you doing well with the t-shirt sales? And
I did better. I was pushing it more. I was doing I did a throwback flow t-shirts, which were cool. They did really well. They were actually like the original logo from 2001. I got the permission to do that. It sold a ton of those, but then I sold a lot of early 2000s like merch early on. And I kind of, right now I'm chilling on it. I want to come up with some better stuff, but yeah, I'm not doing any merch right now at this moment, really. Yeah, you can buy a few shirts, but like, definitely, it's nothing on my website right now. There's like, I took it down. I was doing like some hoodies and stuff, but people were buying it here and there. But overall, it's like something it would be fun to do. I just don't want to slap a logo on a shirt. I want to do something,
for sure,
a cool project. Like, I like the Peep Game shirts that Steve-O did. Like,
those are pretty sick.
People love those, man. With like the old Kagi Hoffman Bikes ad, it was really cool. So I think stuff like that's cooler than just putting a logo on, which I was doing, and people would support it. So shout out to everybody that does buy shirts and stuff. I appreciate it, but it was I want to put just more thought behind it if I'm going to do it. I'm not saying this is like a clothing brand. It's definitely merch for sure. Like, I'm not running early 2000s as like a clothing brand, but I do like offering projects like a t-shirt or a hoodie. It's just fun to do.
Fuck yeah. And I think, I don't know, I like where your head's at. Just make a dope shirt that you like, not just slapping a logo on it.
Yeah, which I'm guilty of slapping a logo on, because I've definitely done that. But yeah.
Let's talk about your website. Like, how much?
I don't have anything up there right now. Actually, just took some stuff down.
You do have the Flow skate park shirt. That's sick.
I didn't know I had anything on there right now.
Very reasonably priced, $14.
Oops, that shouldn't be that low. Get it right now when you can, because I'm going to up that.
Literally. That's funny. And then how is your Facebook group doing? That's something I've thought
The
about
Facebook group
doing.
I also have is for like people that want to buy, sell, and trade stuff. But my Facebook page is the one I was more referring to. I did make a group because people were in my DMs all the time. Like, oh, I would post somebody's stuff to a story, and they're like, "Can you share this? I want to sell this like solid stem from 1990." So I was like, I'm gonna make a Facebook group early 2000s, so that too. There's already a million Facebook groups too for that stuff, but I just made another one, and that's not bad. But my Facebook I think I have like 18K on Facebook for the
Wow.
page.
Yeah.
I think I
Good.
have 20K. I forget if TikTok I have around 20K as well. I think so. It's
Sick.
completely different audiences too. It's crazy. Like TikTok brings in people that don't ride.
Yeah.
TikTokers hate property damage, dude. Anytime I post anything of like it could be Trey Jones riding on a roof or stuff, people are like, damn, they just fucked up that guy's roof. And even on the RBMX TikTok account, like anything property damage, people on TikTok that see an algorithm are so anti-property. It's just something I always notice. On
That's
Instagram, you never get
wild.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
you hear that
crazy.
all the time on TikTok. They're always like, "Wow, we way to ruin somebody's perfectly good roof or something."
Yeah. Shut
Yeah,
the fuck up.
it's just funny. For some reason, that's just a random thing I noticed about TikTok, like with
Yeah.
BMX. Like you never see that.
It really is a different world.
Yeah,
Same with YouTube. Feels like an entirely different world too. I don't know. I don't need to digress into work stuff, but we talk about like, is it effective to share what you're posting on YouTube on your Instagram, like as a link in the story, and then 500 people see that story and 4 clicked to go watch the YouTube video, and it doesn't make a difference on the algorithm on
I
YouTube.
don't
Like
think it's
YouTube,
about
its
that
own
though.
community.
I think it's just showing that you are doing YouTube, so they just see it like it feels bigger, and they know you're doing more. Like it just, I
It's
think
not
that's
about that
more the things.
intrinsic.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't think it's just about like. I think it makes you, it legitimizes you. Like they're seeing like, okay, like they see that story sticker, like this dude's doing things. Like, are they gonna click? Maybe not, but the fact that it just shows like you're
you're doing it.
working, you're
Yeah,
doing, you're not stagnant. Like you don't want to just see an account that's just like post every once in a while or just looks. You want to be everywhere. You want to look. You want to be like. It just shows like, hey, like this is legitimate. We're doing YouTubes. We're doing this and stuff. So they it just makes
yep.
it feel bigger, you know. It,
And it is effective, at least personally. Like when I've done live streams for the first while, I didn't want to promote it at all on Instagram, and then I noticed a tremendous bump as soon as I posted it on my story on Instagram. I was like, oh, there's everybody, and they all kind
I
of.
thought you meant more. I thought you said you were only getting
No,
four
I'm
people.
not, I'm not talking about mine. I'm talking about like
Oh yeah,
for
I'm just saying for the people
other
that do.
clients. Yeah,
Yeah, I definitely think story links are good. Like you, if it's something interesting for sure. Like I've definitely, like those flow shirts, I sold those with story links 100%. I wasn't
yeah,
posting them in the feed really. So that if it's something people are interested in, yeah, like, and
yep.
yeah, like
And that's
all the
the thing.
RBMX stuff we do, we always post a story link to a YouTube video. So yeah, but a lot of times if people that are like doing something like, a lot of times people want to be on Instagram and they don't want to exit Instagram because they're in the mood just to be on Instagram. So they might not click your thing, but they might see that YouTube video is up and search for it later too. So
Exactly.
don't
Yeah.
be discouraged to the people that only are getting a few clicks. But I have seen a lot of success with like that flow shirt's a perfect example. I think like I sold the first night I released that shirt, I made like $700. Isn't that crazy? I woke up
Nice.
and it was like overnight because the people wanted it. It was just like Midwest thing. People love that
Yeah.
place, but I thought it was funny, but that was pretty much just through that story link. So I was like, they are effective, so don't give up on them.
And at this, like, actually, one more question before we boil it down. But what do you think of cadence? How often are you posting for early 2000s? What's our BMX's cadence? Are they doing like 3 a day? I feel like that's probably normal for our. And then what's good for you?
I'm anywhere from, I usually post every single day. Yeah, so I try to do a lot, but again, I don't want to dilute it. Like I don't want to. You want to find that fine line, and I'm sure a lot of people that aren't into social media are probably bored right now. But like, it's a fine line of quality over quantity. But at the same time, you want to have quantity to an extent. So you want to have quality and quantity.
Yep.
But I'm also not going to just post 3 times a day just to post 3 times a day. If I'm just posting some stuff that I'm not fully into or I don't think it's that cool, I'd rather just post once a day.
Yeah. 100%.
But I'm doing other stuff on there too. So it's like I post like news stuff. I'm trying to post, it's not just throwback content. So like I try to at least have something. People should always just kind of, if they're doing a project, you should go in fully. You should always have at least a story up or something. Like you want to be active. Like
Yeah.
you don't want to look like a stagnant account. You want to be involved. So whatever you're starting, you want to go places, go to events, all kinds of stuff.
And that's it's also a reflection of your real life. Your Instagram success is heavily based on like what are you doing, and then go do stuff, and then you can share that, or like what. Yeah. What was I gonna ask? I was gonna say, what is next? What's
China.
next
I'm
for
going to
you?
China for feast. I'm
Say that
going to
again.
China in a few weeks for feast.
China.
Yeah, Shanghai.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm excited. So it'll be cool
For what?
to go
X,
film. Yeah.
X Games?
No, for feast.
Feast.
Yeah.
Feast in Shanghai. Good for you, man. That's amazing.
Yeah, I went to the one in Chengdu before. It's a different part of China, but Shanghai's a bigger city, so it'd be cool.
Dope. That's with our.
I'm doing actually did that with early 2000s. Got approved for the press passes and everything through that.
Damn,
Yeah,
cool. Fuck yeah, good for you, man. That's exciting.
You going
Oh, I
to
remember now. You said talking about news posts, and that makes me think like you're pretty tapped in to what's going on in BMX. What is the very brief news report for this month or the past couple of weeks? What's been going on, and what have you been paying attention to?
Brandon Lupas broke his T2 at X Games Japan, so he's doing a double flare no hander and best trick. If you watch it, it's really graphic. So I don't. It's like I would never like want to repost that clip because it's so gnarly, but like it was on live TV or whatever. But he's gonna be all right. But he's going back to Australia, so he broke that T. It's pretty gnarly. That was pretty crazy, man. To even do that trick on concrete, let alone. So he's had a lot of bad luck with injuries over the last few years. And Jay Miron got inducted into the BMX Hall of Fame, which is awesome. Jay hasn't really done too much anything BMX related for years, and for him to go and do his speech and stuff like that is pretty cool. So that's huge. Obviously, he's well deserved.
It's very cool.
That. Trying to think what else. Really, that's kind of the two things that are super current. Yeah.
Yeah, for real. Fuck yeah. So what's next? Let's talk about your personal Mount Rushmore.
Mike Aiken for sure. I would have to say Mike Aiken, Stephen Hamilton, Ryan Gutler, just because I thought he was the sickest rider back in the day when he was like killing it in a contest and stuff like that. So Mike Aiken, Ryan Gutler. Let me think of another one here. Corey Bohan for sure. Corey Bohan's sick, dude.
Yep, one of the sickest. I think that might be his first appearance on Mount Rushmore, though. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Shout out Corey Bowen.
Yeah, those guys were always my favorite here. Is it anything else you want to talk about? Like you want to
wait? Did you say 4?
Yeah.
Mike Aiken, Ryan Gutler, Corey Bowen.
Stephen Hamilton too.
Stephen.
Stephen Hamilton's a crazy guy. Obviously, like I think he's cool. I like his riding style, but he's funny. I just have tons of Stephen Hamilton stories from being from Ohio, but I've always been into his riding. I just always thought it was cool. Like I never tried to like be Stephen Hamilton. Like I never tried to like dress like him or buy his products, but I was always influenced by his like style on street. I always just respected it because it was just like he still to this day has a very creative outlook on riding, and he's a nice guy. He's cool. He's off the wall. You know, he's all over the place. So it's
bless us with a Stephen Hamilton story.
I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff like, oh man, I don't know. It's not bad or anything. I'm not like making fun of him. He's just I don't want to say like he's kooky like in a bad way, but like one time he glued seaweed onto his bike for a bike check, and I forget what magazine it was in. And then I asked him about it, and he was all casual about it. He's like, yeah, that was. I was like, so what about the time you glued seaweed on your bike? And he's like, oh yeah, that was in Seattle. Yeah, like it was no big deal. Like he like he switched his gearing, and I think a lot of it's an act. I think he obviously like in your podcast, he said he never got paycheck from riding and stuff.
Yeah.
So he plays into it a lot.
Yeah.
Like he plays into this, like some of it. Yeah. He a lot of it's kind of like an act to an extent, obviously.
Yep.
To a certain degree. So
I definitely sensed that. Like I was like, I can see a very pretty smart, nice person right there, but he's just trolling. His whole life he's trolling.
I don't know. Like it's like it's funny because like when we go out to like the bars or something, me and my buddies, and we go back to my buddy's house, and then we be like. We get up in the morning. My buddy's like, Stephen Hamilton's on the front porch, sleeping on the porch swing. We're like, hey, we weren't even with him last night.
Yeah.
Shout out to
legend.
Dude.
Fucking legend.
Legend for sure. nothing but respect for him. Like I just thought that was a funny thing.
What's your advice for young BMX boys? Like,
You know,
dudes trying to make it in riding, make it in the industry.
yeah, it's I feel like a lot of people think that there's only so many Dennis Andersons, Chad Curleys out there. Like so people see that, and there's nothing wrong to aspire to that. Honestly, I don't want to ever like tell people to put limits on what's possible because it really is like crazy. Like it's probably some of the stuff you've done too, like the situations you've been in. You're like, if my 15-year-old self knew that I'd be like doing this, I'd be freaking out right now, right? Like
Yeah.
even some of the people you talk to, like obviously you're not starstruck, you're 34, but just the situations and stuff, like you worked for Sparky's or you work for Shadow or in the stuff you're doing, and you're like, man, if my younger self knew that, I'd be super psyched. Like
So psyched. Yeah.
so I tell people, I don't want to like tell people like, yeah, like it's never gonna happen for you, but like in general, like try to contribute something. If you're going into it thinking you're going to be like a millionaire from riding, like, yeah, there's different outlets and avenues you can do, but like, um, I don't, I think a lot of parents think that's what it is. Maybe like a lot of skate park parents think that maybe they see like Garrett Reynolds or some viral Red Bull rider doing viral video stuff.
Right.
But, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to put limitations on it because I've seen people do extraordinary things, but just go into it and just try to be like respectful, have fun, do your own thing. I know it's like
Yep.
such a cliche thing, and everybody says that, but it's like,
That's
yeah,
that's the underlying.
even if you don't even if you don't become like a pro rider, you can still be involved and like do cool stuff with it.
That's the coolest part, I think, is just like compared to other industries, like your chances of meeting your quote heroes is way higher in BMX. Like
And I'm
it's
assuming like you with your career now, like you got these skills from BMX, so BMX can teach you a skill
yeah.
set, like your filming, your editing, all that stuff, like
Yep.
so.
That would
Like
be
your
my
brother Troy,
advice.
the
Is like,
same thing. I would assume. Like he's another guy. Like he's doing amazing stuff.
oh yeah,
Like so, it's a creative thing.
and that's just it's self-taught, and you just pick up a camera to film your friends doing BMX tricks, and then eventually you can make a living doing that, which is fucking wild to think about.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think that's I'm feeling pretty brain dead. This is a interesting time. I just spent like 8 hours editing Mediocre today and working in between.
I'm
And
obviously exhausted too because
I'm fried. Yeah.
I was on a plane for forever and then got here and just had to like get everything rolling. But
I'm very grateful that you were down to do this. I'm sure we'll be doing more together soon, live streams or
anything
another
you want, yeah.
episode. I hope you have a good rest of your night. Is there anything else that you want to say before we end it?
No, I appreciate everybody that follows the page. If you don't, it's early 2000s BMX on all the platforms. Obviously, thank you for letting me do this interview. If you guys want to come out to the jam next year, it's probably going to be around the same time. This is September. The dates will fluctuate maybe a little bit, but if you guys have like a collection or you want to jump on my live and just tell some old BMX stories or show off a bike that you had or whatever, restoration bike. A lot of people I talk to restore bikes. Like I have this guy that restored a bunch of Dave Mirra's old frames that he actually rode down to the sticker, the exact sticker. Yeah, and stuff like that is always amazing. So even if you guys don't have something like a holy grail like that, and you just have a bike that's you're stoked on from back in the day, you want to talk about it on live or like an experience you had, like hit me up in the DMs. I always try to make it happen. So appreciate everybody that is involved.
You heard the man, BMX nerds. Go early 2000s BMX. All right, that's it.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, my boys. I hope you enjoyed that episode, and we'll get the momentum going back. I feel like it's been a slow couple of weeks for me. I've been in a funk, and I'll be coming out of it. The thing is, like, shit started picking up with Jamil for work, like the amount of stuff that I got to take care of, and then that the other stuff with family, and then girlfriend and bikes and Mediocre. I spent 12 hours editing Mediocre. Got Nick's part close to done. Very excited about that. Made a part of Troy and showed it to him. He was like, we got more work to do. And I was like, yeah, we probably do. So it's crunch time over the next couple months. The premiere is officially the December 21st at Phoenix Center for the Arts. And I look forward to that night big time. But it's going to be a lot of work between now and then. Anyway, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And I'll see you next week.